let us do this.
What was the other pastor names?
I can't remember the other. It was two more vesticles.
The other dude that Mike Fly used to be with.
Huh?
The other dude that Mike Fly used to be with.
Okay. So we want to get started. We want to open up in prayer or read the Shema?
Like pastor, man.
I'll read
He got it all in trouble, man, with his wife.
Greetings, everybody.
Make sure you speak up. You know.
Oh, okay.
I got the mic right
That's right.
It should pick up, but make sure you talk when you debate. Talk.
He was preached my skillet.
You know, you don't matter about seeing your face because it's glaring.
Yeah.
So you're not worried about it. Okay.
It sounds like it is, huh?
We get it.
Like
Shalom.
it's stuck right in there.
Lyrical dream. Most definitely. Shalom to you.
So we're gonna start off with the Shema.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, sister.
Greetings, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. Hope everyone had a good week so far. I'll be reading, of course, Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 4 to 6, and then I'll translate. Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. Ve'ahavta et Yahweh Elohecha b'kol lebabecha, u'b'kol nafshecha, u'b'kol meodecha. Ve'hayu hadavarim ha'ele asher anochi mesaweha hayom al lebabecha. And that is Shema Yisrael, hear and obey Israel. Yahweh our Elohim, Yahweh is one and united, complex, compound unity. And you are to love Yahweh your Elohim with all your heart and with all your being and with all your might or your strength. And shall be these words to you that I'm commanding to be on your heart. Excuse me. I messed up. And these words that I'm commanding you today are to be on your heart.
Amen. So we'll open up with prayer, then we get into the prayer song. Heavenly Father, eternal mighty I am, we come to you in the name of Yeshua the Christ to say thank you.
Thank you.
We praise you for bringing us all together.
Hallelujah.
We thank you for those who are watching us live. We pray for those who watch on the archive.
Yes.
Heavenly Father, we pray and we understand, Lord, when many come in your name, you are in the midst, you are in the presence.
Yes.
And we pray that your spirit, we pray that you allow us to come into what you already revealed.
Yes.
And your spirit to lay on us so we can bring out information
Yes.
and knowledge according to how you called it in the scriptures.
Hallelujah.
We thank you, Lord, and we appreciate everything you have done for us. And we pray as we hear that we are all edified and united. In Christ's name we pray. Yeshua HaMashiach. Amen.
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 Okay. How's the week for everybody?
Good. What did you say?
How's the week for everybody?
You gotta stop doing that. Keep it neutral today.
Right.
Keep it neutral. Not one extreme or the other.
All right. So what we're gonna start the parashah this week. He sent. We're gonna start in Genesis chapter 32, and we're gonna read. And we're gonna come in, and Most High willing, we come into an understanding of what the message or the concept of the scriptures are of today. So we're gonna pick it up at Genesis 32. We're gonna start at verse 1. Early in the morning, Lavan got up, kissed his sons and daughters, and blessed them. Then Lavan left and returned to his own place. Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. When Jacob saw them, he said, "This is God's camp," and he called that place Makayim, 2 camps. Now we're going to go into verse 4, I believe. Yes.
Yeah, we just start the parashah.
All right. Jacob sent messengers ahead of him to Esau his brother, toward the land of Seir, the country of Edom, with these instructions. Here is what you are to say to my lord Esau. Your servant Jacob says, I have been living with Laban, and have stayed until now. I have cattle, donkeys, and flocks, and male and female servants. I am sending to tell this news to my lord in order to win your favor. The messengers returned to Jacob, saying, "We went to your brother Esau, and he is coming to meet you, and with him are 400 men." Jacob became greatly afraid and distressed. He divided the people's flocks, cattle, and camels with him in 2 camps, saying, "If Esau comes to one camp and attacks it, at least the camp that is left will escape." Then Jacob said, "God of my father Abraham and God of my father Isaac, Adonai, who told me, 'Return to your country and your kinsmen, and I will do you good.' I am worthy of all the love and faithfulness you have shown your servant since I crossed the Jordan. I crossed the Jordan with only my staff, but now I have become 2 camps. Please rescue me from my brother Esau. I'm afraid of him, afraid he'll come and attack me without regard for mothers or children. You said, 'I will certainly do you good and make your descendants as numerous as the grains of the sea, by the sea which are so many they can't be counted.'"
All right, so the next person read, and this is how we'll go around and continue reading. All right. So, verse 14, some verses say 13. He stayed there that night, and he chose from among his possessions the following as a present for Esau and his brother: 200 female goats and 20 males, 200 female sheep and 20 males, 30 milk camels and their colts, 40 cows and 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys and 10 colts. He turned them over to his servants, every drove by itself, and said to his servants, "Cross over in front of me, and keep a space between each drove and the next one." He instructed the servant in front. "When Esau, my brother, meets you and asks, 'Whose servant are you? Where are you going? And whose animals are these?' then you are to say, 'They belong to your servant Yaakov, and they are a present he has sent to my lord Esau, and Yaakov himself is just behind us.'" He also instructed the second servant and the third and all that followed the droves, "When you encounter Esau, you are to speak to him in the same way, and you are to add, 'And there just behind us is your servant Yaakov, for he said, I will appease him first with the present that goes ahead of me, then after that I will see him myself, and maybe he will be friendly toward me.' So the present crossed over ahead of him, and he himself stayed that night in the camp. He got up that night, took his 2 wives, his 2 slave girls, and his 11 children, and forded the Yabok. Okay. I'll make it look right there. He took them and sent them across the stream, then sent his possessions across, and Yaakov was left alone. Then some man wrestled with him until daybreak. Hold on, let me put it. Verse, what's that, 24. When he saw that he did not defeat Yaakov, he struck Yaakov's hip socket so that hip was dislocated while wrestling with him. The man said, "Let me go, because it's daybreak." But Yaakov replied, "I won't let you go unless you bless me." The man asked, "What is your name?" And he answered, "Yaakov." Then the man said, "From now on, you will no longer be called Yaakov, but Israel. Because, you're called Israel because you have shown your strength to both God and men and have prevailed." Right? Yaakov asked him, "Please tell me your name." But he answered, "Why are you asking about my name?" And blessed him there. Praise the Father.
Okay. Verse 31. Yaakov called the place Peniel, face of God, because I have seen God face to face, yet my life is spared. As the sun rose upon him, he went on past Peniel, limping at the hip. This is why to this day the people of Israel do not eat the thigh muscle that passes along the hip socket, because the man struck Yaakov's hip at its socket. Can you continue?
Yes, until you get to where it says I 4. Continue.
Okay. Chapter 33. Yaakov raised his eyes and looked out, and there was Esau coming, and 400 men with him. So Yaakov divided the children between Leah, Rachel, and the 2 slave girls, putting the slave girls and their children first, Leah and her children second, Rachel and Joseph last. Then he himself passed on ahead of them and prostrated himself on the ground 7 times before approaching his brother. Esau ran to meet him, hugged him, threw his arms around his neck, and kissed him, and they wept. Esau looked up on seeing the women and children. He asked, "Whose are these with you?" Yaakov answered, "The children God has graciously given to your servant."
Then the slave girls approached with their children, and they prostrated themselves. Leah too and her children approached and prostrated themselves. And last came Joseph and Rachel, and they prostrated themselves. Esau asked, "What was the meaning of this procession of droves I encountered?" And he answered, "It was to win my Lord's favor." Esau replied, I have plenty already, my brother. Keep your possessions for yourself." Yaakov said, "No, please. If now I have won your favor, then accept my gift. Just seeing your face has been like seeing the face of God, now that you have received me. So please accept the gift I have brought you, for God has dealt kindly with me, and I have enough." Thus he urged him until he accepted it. Esau said, "Let's break camp and get going. I'll go first." Yaakov said to him, "My Lord knows that the children are small, and the sheep and cattle suckling their young concern me, because if they overdrive them, even one day all the flocks will die. Instead, please let my Lord go on ahead of his servant. I will travel more slowly at the pace of the cattle ahead of me, and at the pace of the children, until I come to my Lord and see it." Esau replied, "Then let me leave you with some of the people I have with me." But Yaakov said, "There's no need for my Lord to be so kind to me." So Esau left that day to return to Seir. Yaakov went on to Succoth, where he built himself a house and put up shelters for his cattle. This is why the place is called Sukkot, shelters. Having traveled from Padam Aram, Yaakov arrived safely at the city of Shechem in Canaan and set up camp near the city. From the sons of Hamor, Shechem's father, he bought for 100 pieces of silver the parcel of land where he had pitched his tent. There he put up an altar which he called El Elohe Israel, God, the God of Israel.
One day Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she had born to Yaakov, went out to visit the local girls, and Shechem, the son of Hamor, the Hivite, the local ruler, saw her, grabbed her, raped her, and humiliated her. But actually he was strongly attracted to Dinah, the daughter of Yaakov. He fell in love with the girl and tried to win her affection. Shechem spoke with his father Hamor and said, "Get this girl for me. I want her to be my wife." When Yaakov heard that he had defiled Dinah, his daughter, his sons were with his livestock in the field. So Yaakov restrained himself until they came. Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out to Yaakov to speak with him, just as Yaakov, the sons were coming into the field, from the field. When they heard what had happened, the men were saddened and were very angry at the outrage this man had committed against Israel by raping Yaakov's daughter, something that is simply not done. When Hamor said to them, "My son's Shechem's heart is set on your daughter. Please give her to him as his wife, and intermarry with us. Give your daughters to us, and take your daughters for yourselves. You will live with us, and the land will be available to you. You will live, do business, and acquire possessions here." Then Shechem said to her father and brothers, "Only accept me, and I will give whatever you tell me." Ask as large a bride price as you like. I'll pay whatever you tell me. Just let me marry the girl. The sons of Yaakov answered Shechem and Hamor, his father, deceitfully, because he had defiled Dinah, their sister. They said to him, we can't do it because it would be a disgrace to give our sister to someone who hasn't been circumcised. Only on this condition will we consent with what you're asking. Then you become like us by having every male among you get circumcised. Then we'll give our daughters to you, and we'll take your daughter for ourselves, and we will live with you and become one people. But if you won't do as I say and get circumcised, then we'll take our daughters and go away. What they said seemed fair to Hamor and Shechem, the son of Hamor. And the young man did not put off doing what was asked of him, even though he was the most respected member of his father's family, because he so much wanted Yaakov's daughter. Hamor and Shechem, his son, came to the entrance of the city and spoke with its leading men. These people are peaceful toward us. Therefore, let them live in the land and do business in it, for, as you can see, the land is large enough for them. Let us take their daughters as wives for ourselves, and we'll give them our daughters. But the people will consent to live with us and become one people only on this condition, that every male among us gets circumcised, as they themselves are circumcised. Won't their cattle, their possessions, and all their animals be ours? Only let's consent to do what they ask, and then they will live with us. Everyone going out of the city's gate listened to Hamor and Shechem, his son. So every male was circumcised, every one that went out the gate of the city. On the third day after circumcision, when they were in pain, two of Yaakov's sons, Shimon and Levi, Dinah's brothers, took their swords and boldly descended on the city and slaughtered all the males. They killed Hamor, Shechem, his son, with their swords, took Dinah out of Shechem's house, and left. Then the sons of Yaakov entered over the dead bodies of those who had been slaughtered and plundered the city in reprisal for defiling their sister. They took their flocks and cattle and donkeys and everything else, whether in the city or in the field, everything they owned. Their children and wives they took captive, and they looted whatever was in the houses. So Yaakov said to Simeon and Levi, you have caused me trouble by making me stink in the opinion of the local inhabitants. The Canaan, the Perizi, since I don't have many people, they'll align themselves together against me and attack me, and I will be destroyed, I and my household. They replied, should we let our sister be treated like a whore? God said to Yaakov, get up and go to Bethel and live there and make there an altar to God, who appeared to you when you fled Esau, your brother. Then Yaakov said to his household and all the others with him, get rid of the foreign gods that you have with you, purify yourselves, and put on fresh clothes. We're going to move on and go up to Bethel. There I will be an altar to God. He answered me when I was in such distress and stayed with me wherever I went. They gave Yaakov all the foreign gods and their possessions and the earrings that they were wearing. And Yaakov buried them under the pistachio tree near Shechem. While they were traveling, a terror from God fell upon the cities around them, so that none of them pursued the sons of Yaakov. Yaakov and all the people with him arrived at Luz, that is Bethel, in the land of Canaan. He built there an altar and called the place El Bethel, God of Bethel, because it was there that God was revealed to him at the time when he was fleeing from his brother. Then Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, died. She was buried below Bethel under the oak, which was given the name Alam Behu, Oak of Weeping. After Yaakov arrived from Padan Aram, God appeared to him again and blessed him. God said to him, your name is Yaakov, but you will be called Yaakov no longer. Your name will be Israel. Thus he named him Israel. God further said to him, I am El Shaddai. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation, indeed, a group of nations will come on you, and you will descend, and kings will descend from you.
Moreover, the land which I gave to Abraham and Isaac, I will give to you, and I will give the land to your descendants after you. And God went up from him there, where he had spoken with him. Yaakov set up a standing stone in the place where he had spoken with him, a stone pillar. Then he poured out a drink offering on it and poured oil on it. Yaakov called the place where God spoke with him Bethel. Then they traveled on from Bethel, and while there was still some distance to go before arriving in Ephrath, Rachel went into labor, and she had great difficulty with it. While she was undergoing this hard labor, the midwife said to her, don't worry, this is also a son for you. But she died in childbirth. And she was dying, and as she was dying, she named her son Benoni, son of my grief. But his father called him Benjamin, son of the right hand, son of the south. So Rachel died and was buried on the way to Ephrath. This is Bethlehem. Yaakov sat upon a standing stone on her grave. It is the standing stone of Rachel's grave to this day. Israel continued his travels and pitched his tent on the other side of Migdal Eder. It was while Israel was living in that land that Reuben went and slept with Bilhah, his father's concubine, and Israel heard about it. Yaakov had 12 sons. The sons of Leah were Reuben, Yaakov's firstborn, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Yisachar, and Zebulun. The sons of Rachel were Joseph and Binyamin. The sons of Bilhah, Rachel's slave girl, were Dan and Naphtali. And the sons of Zilpah, Leah's slave girl, were Gad and Asher. These were Yaakov's sons, born to him in Padan Aram. Yaakov came home to his father Yitzhak at Mamre. There, Kiryat Arba, also known as Hebron, where Abraham and Yitzhak had lived as foreigners. Yitzhak lived to be 180 years old. Then he breathed his last, died, and was gathered to his people, an old man full of years, and his sons Esau and Yaakov buried him. This is the genealogy of Esau, that is Edom. Esau chose Canaan woman as his wives. Adah, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, Oholibamah, the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Zavon the Hivi, and Basmat, Ishmael's daughter, sister of Nebaioth. Adah bore to Esau Eliphaz. Basmat bore Ruel, and Oholibamah bore Yehush, Yalam, and Korah. These were the sons of Esau born to him in the land of Canaan. Esau took his wives, his sons and daughters, the others in his household, his cattle and other animals, and everything else he owned, where he acquired in the land of Canaan, and went off to a country distant from his brother Yaakov. For their possessions had become too great for them to live together, and the countryside through which they were traveling couldn't support so much livestock. So Esau lived in the hill country of Seir. Esau is Edom. This is the genealogy of Esau, the father of Edom, in the hill country of Seir. The names of Esau's sons were Eliphaz, son of Adah, the wife of Esau, and Ruel, the son of Basmat, the wife of Esau. The sons of Eliphaz were Timan, Omar, Zepho, Gatam, and Kenaz. Timnah was the concubine of Eliphaz, Esau's son, and she bore to Eliphaz Amalek. These were the descendants of Adah, Esau's wife. The sons of Ruel were Nachat, Zerach, Shammah, and Mizah. These were the sons of Basmat, Esau's wife. These were the sons of Oholibamah, the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Zebon, Esau's wife. She bore to him Esau, Yeush, Yalam, Korach. The chieftains of the sons of Esau were the sons of Eliphaz, the firstborn of Esau, and the chieftains of Timah, Omar, Zepho, Kenaz, Korah, Gatam, and Amalek. These were the chieftains descended from Eliphaz and Edom and from Adah. The sons of Ruel, Esau's son, were the chieftains of Nachat, Zerach, Shammah, and Mizah. These were the chieftains descended from Ruel in the land of Edom and from Basmat, Esau's wife. The sons of Oholibamah, Esau's wife, were the chieftains of Yeush, Yalam, and Korah. These were the chieftains descended from Oholibamah, the daughter of Anah, Esau's wife. These were the descendants of Esau, that is Edom, and these were their chieftains.
Right. Take a breath.
We're going to get into all these names right there.
Yeah,
I
seriously.
know where. Go ahead, Ms. Johnson. I'm going to give this to you.
No. I can start it back over.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So y'all gonna put all these names on me. So I like all them on. These were the descendants of Seir the Horah, the local inhabitants. Lotan, Shabal, Zebulon, Anah, Dishon, Etzar, and Dishan. Excuse me. They were the chieftains descended from the Ori, the people of Seir in the land of Edom. The sons of Lotan were Ori and Himam. Lotan's sister were Timnah. The sons of Shabal were Avon, Manasseh, Ibal, Shofo. So enough.
Oh my gosh.
The son of Zebulon were Ayah and Anah. This is the Anah who founded the hot springs in the desert while pasturing his father Zebulon's donkeys. The children of Anah were Dishan and Oholibamah, the daughters of Anah. The sons of Dishan were Hemdan, Ishban, Yitran, and Karan. The sons of Etzar were Bilhah, Zaavan, and Akan. The sons of Dishan were Ups and Aran. These were the chieftains descended from the Ori, the chieftain of Lotan, Shabal, Zebulon, Anah, Dishan, Etzar, and Dishan. They were the chieftain descended from the Ori by the clans in Seir. Following are the kings who reigned in the land of Edom before any king had reigned over the people of Israel. Bela, the son of Beor, reigned in Edom. The name of this city was Dinhaba. When Bela died, Yobah, the son of Zerach from Boxer reigned in his place. When Yobab died, Husham from the land of the Temani reigned in his place. When Husham died, Hadad, the son of Bedad, who killed Midian in the field of Moab, reigned in his place. The name of this city was Avit. When Hadad died, Samlah and Mazarika resigned in his place. When Samlah died, Shaul of Rokova by the river reigned in his place. Excuse me. When Shaul died, Baal Canaan, the son of Akbar, reigned in his place. When Baal Canaan died, Hadad reigned in his place. The name of the city was Hal, and his wife's name was that name right there, the daughter of Metri, the daughter of Mazah. These are the name of the chiefs descended from Esau according to their clans, places, and names. The chieftain of Timnah, Algar, Yet, Olavar, Hala, Pinon, Kanaz, Taman, Mitzah, Magdal, and Aram. These were the chiefs of Adam according to their settlements and the land they owned. This is Esau, the father of Adam.
Wow.
Yeah, but when we get into the names, there's going to be some pretty stuff, some interesting stuff that line up.
This is why
Then we go back to purpose, you know, when we talk about the names, and then you'll see if something just not going to happen because it's already in their name. This is who you are, and this is what you're going to do. And nothing nobody else can do about it.
because the meaning of the name.
Huh?
Because the meaning of the name.
Because the meaning of the name. So I normally this person would read the from the prophet.
Yeah.
Since we got enough people, we just keep on around. Pretty good with it.
All right.
Okay, so it's on 799.
Page 799.
So go to Hosea chapter 11.
Hosea 11?
Verse 7.
All right.
Hosea 11.
And read up to, let's see what it was. Read up to verse 12.
Whoa,
Yeah,
you got it.
Chapter 12.
Hosea,
The
Oh, I'm
marker.
sorry.
You're
No,
talking about where the
shit.
marker is?
Yeah, what the marker is.
chapter 11.
Yeah, verse 12.
Okay, so 11 and 9,
799.
11 and 7.
11 and 7,
You on 9.
and then go to the marker.
Yeah, read from 7 to 12.
And
So,
then
Oh,
somebody
7
has to
12.
pick up.
yeah, I pick up
Oh,
after
okay.
that, yeah.
Hosea.
Okay.
We'll see. Prophet.
Okay, this is Hosea page.
It's on 798.
798.
Is it?
You have the electronic version?
The who?
You have the electronic version? Cool.
I almost got it too the other day. I was looking for
Right
another
there,
book.
you
I
just
saw that one,
line,
but it wasn't the one that kind of threw me off. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I get it. So
Okay, verse,
it reads
chapter
7
11, verse 7.
11. And then I can range from
7, 11.
So you said go to chapter 12?
You know, just restart at chapter 11, so pick up at verse 7 and read from 7 to 12.
Oh, 7 to
Oh,
12.
the
Yeah,
steps.
chapter
Oh, yeah.
12.
Oh,
Okay, verse
Yeah.
12. Oh, to the end. Okay.
Right.
yeah,
You
we're
ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so Hosea 11 and 7. My people are hanging in suspense about returning to me. And though they call them upwards, nobody makes a move. Ephraim, how can I give you up or surrender you, Israel? How could I treat you like Admah or make you like Zeboim? My heart recoils at the idea as compassion warms within me. I will not give vent to the fierceness of my rage. I will not return to destroy Ephraim. For I am God, not a human being, the Holy One among you. So I will not come in fury. They will go after Adonai, who will roar like a lion, for he will roar, and the children will come trembling from the west. They will tremble like a bird as they come from Egypt, like a dove as they come from the land of Ashur. And I will resettle them in their own houses, says Adonai. I'll keep going.
Yeah.
Chapter 12?
To verse
12.
Verse 12.
All right. Chapter 12, verse 1. Ephraim surrounds me with lies, and the house of Israel with deceit. Yehudah still rules with God and is faithful with holiness. Ephraim is chasing the wind, pursuing the wind from the east. All day he piles up lies and desolation. They make a covenant with Ashur while sending olive oil to Egypt. Adonai also has a grievance against Yehudah. He will punish Yaakov according to his ways and pay him back for his misdeeds. In the womb he took his brother by the heel. In the strength of his manhood he fought with God. Yes, he fought with an angel and won. He wept and pleaded with him. Then at Bethel he found him, and there he would later speak with us. Adonai Elohim Tzvaot, Adonai is his name. So you return to your God. Hold fast to grace and justice, and always put your hope in your God. A huckster keeps false scales, and he loves to cheat. Ephraim says, I have gotten so rich, I have made me a fortune, and in all my prophets no one will find anything wrong or sinful. But I am Adonai your God from the land of Egypt. Again I will make you live in tents, as in the days of the established festival. I have spoken to the prophets. It was I who gave vision after vision. Though the prophets I gave examples to show what it would look like. Though the prophets I gave examples to show what it would be what it would all be like. Is Gilead given to iniquity? Yes, they have become worthless. In Gilgal they sacrifice the bulls. Therefore their altars are like piles of stones in a plowed field.
Obadiah.
What page?
It's page 829.
829. Obadiah. Oh, yeah. You know that.
Oh, yeah, I just got to read the whole chapter.
That's okay. All good stuff. All good. This is the vision of Obadiah. Here is what Adonai Elohim says about Edom. As a messenger was being sent among the nations, saying, come on, let's attack her. We heard a message from Adonai. I am making you the least of all nations. You will be beneath contempt. Your proud heart has deceived you. You whose homes are caves in the cliffs, who live on the heights and say to yourself, who can bring me down to the ground? If you make your nest as high as an eagle's, even if you place it among the stars, I will bring you down from there, says Adonai. If thieves were to come to you, or if robbers by night, oh, how destroyed you are. Wouldn't they stop when they'd stolen enough? If grape pickers came to you, wouldn't they leave some grapes for gleaning? But see how Esau has been looted, their secret treasures searched out. Your allies went with you only to the border. Those at peace with you deceived and defeated you. Those who ate your food set a trap for you, and you couldn't discern it. When that day comes, says Adonai, won't I destroy all the wise men of Edom and leave no discernment on Mount Esau? Your warriors, Timon, will be so distraught that everyone on Mount Esau will be slaughtered. For the violence done to your kinsman Yaakov, shame will come over you. Shame will cover you, and you will be forever cut off. On that day you stood aside, while strangers carried off his treasure, and foreigners entered his gates to cast lots for Jerusalem. You were no different from them. You shouldn't have gloated over your kinsmen on their day of disaster, or rejoiced over the people of Yehuda on their day of destruction. You shouldn't have spoken arrogantly on a day of trouble, or entered the gate of my people on their day of calamity. No, you shouldn't have gloated over their suffering on their day of calamity, or laid hands on their treasure on their day of calamity. You shouldn't have stood at the crossroads to cut down their fugitives, or handed over their survivors on a day of trouble. For the day of Adonai is near for all nations. As you did, it will be done to you. Your dealings will come back on your own head. For just as you have drunk on my holy mountain, so will all the nations drink in turn. Yes, they will drink and gulp it down and be as if they had never existed. But on Mount Zion, there will be a holy remnant who will escape, and the house of Yaakov will repossess their rightful inheritance. Hallelujah. The house of Yaakov will be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, setting aflame and consuming the stubble which is the house of Esau. None of the house of Esau will remain, for Adonai has spoken. Those in the Negev will repossess the mountain of Esau, and those in the Shiphalah, the land of the Philistine, they will repossess the field of Ephraim and the field of Shamron. The Benjamin will occupy Gilead. Those from this army of the people of Israel, exiled among the Canaan, as far away as Zarephath, and the exiles from Yisraelim and Sepharad will repossess the cities in the Negev. Then the victorious will ascend Mount Zion to rule over Mount Esau, but the kingship will belong to Adonai.
Hallelujah.
Bless you.
Turn to 1636.
1636.
Which one is that?
That's
That's
First
First
Corinthians.
Corinthians.
First Corinthians?
Yes, sir. Yeah, chapter 5. I'm going to pick it up in verse 1. Move on from there. All right. First Corinthians chapter 5. And it reads, it is actually being reported that there is sexual sin among you, and it is sexual sin of a kind that is condemned even by pagans. A man is living with his stepmother, and you stay proud. Shouldn't you rather have felt some sadness that would have led you to remove from your company the man who has done this thing? For I myself, even though I am absent physically, am with you spiritually, and I have already judged the man who has done this as if I were present. In the name of the Lord Yeshua, when you are assembled with me present spiritually, and the power of our Lord Yeshua among us, hand over such a person to the adversary for his old nature to be destroyed, so that his spirit may be saved in the day of the Lord. Your boasting is not good. Don't you know the saying? It takes only a little hemmet to leaven the whole batch of dough. Get rid of the old hemmet so that you can be a new batch of dough. Because in reality you are unleavened, for our Pesach lamb, the Messiah, has been sacrificed. So let us celebrate the Seder, not with leftover Hamas. The Hamas of wickedness and evil, but with the Hamas of purity in Torah. In my earlier letter, I wrote not to associate with people who engage in sexual immorality. I didn't mean the sexual immoral people outside your community, or the greedy, or... Oh, I'm sorry. Say again?
No, go ahead.
Oh,
He's getting it.
okay. In my earlier letter, I wrote not to associate with people who engage in sexual immorality. I didn't mean the sexual immoral people outside of your community, or the greedy, or the thieves, or the idol worshippers. For then you would have to leave the world altogether. No, what I wrote you was not to associate with anyone who is supposedly a brother, but who also engages in sexual immorality. It's greed, worship of idols, it's abuse, get drunk, who steals. With such a person who shouldn't even eat. For what business is it of mine to judge outsiders? Is it those who are part of the community that you should be judging? Is that it?
No, I'm sorry.
One more masculine.
God will judge those who are outside. Just expel the evildoer from among yourselves.
Read verse 12 again, please, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Read one more time. For what business is it of mine to judge outsiders? Isn't it to those who are part of the community that you should be judging? God will judge those who are outside. Just expel the evildoer from among yourselves.
Hallelujah.
There was one more, right?
17,
Yes.
yeah, Revelation 7,
Revelation 7.
verse 1 through 12 is page 1791.
I was gonna ask for the page number.
So resurrection.
You already get spoiled. You already feeling
Yes,
being
I
spoiled.
am. I'm kind of spoiled by that page. I'm sorry. What's the page number?
1791.
1791. We're gonna read it.
I'll read it for you guys online. From pick up at verse 1.
Verse 1
Read the whole chapter.
to 12.
To verse. Yeah,
To verse 12.
Okay. Revelation chapter 7. And after this I saw 4 angels standing at the 4 corners of the earth, holding back the 4 winds of the earth, so that no wind will blow on the land, on the sea, or on any tree. I saw another angel come up from the east with a seal with a seal from the living God, and he shouted to the 4 angels who had been given power to harm the land and the sea. Do not harm the land and the sea or the trees until we have sealed the servant our God on their foreheads. I heard how many were sealed, 144 from every tribe of the people of Israel. From the tribe of Judah, 12,000 were sealed. From the tribe of Reuben, from the tribe of Gad, from the tribe of Asher, from the tribe of Naphtali, from the tribe of Manasseh, from the tribe of Simeon, from the tribe of Levi, from the tribe of Issachar. Okay, yeah, I can realize that. Yeah. From the tribe of Zebulun, from the tribe of Joseph, and from the tribe of Benjamin. After this, I looked, and there before me was a huge crowd, too large for anyone to count, from every nation, tribe, people, and language. I'm going to say that one more time. Read it verse 9. After this, I looked, and there before me was a huge crowd, too large for anyone to count, from every nation, tribe, people, and language. They were standing in the front of the throne, in the front of the Lamb. The Lamb, we know who that is. Dressed in white robes, and holding palm branches in their hands, and they shouted, "Victory to our God, who sit on the throne, and to the Lamb." Ain't that something?
Yes.
And all the angels stood around the throne, the elders and the 4 living beings. They fell face down before the throne and worshiped God. I'm going to read that one more time. All the angels stood around the throne, the elders and the 4 living beings. They fell down before the throne and worshiped God, saying, Amen.
Hallelujah.
Praise and glory, wisdom and thanks, honor and power and strength, belonging to our God forever and ever. Amen.
Yeah, sure is. I felt
I did too.
What's the name of it, right?
The most
I'm not sure
All
who
right,
it
it's
is.
right up from the top.
because he was finished.
You gotta go through the door.
You have to.
You know,
I'm like, I know the song, but yeah, I don't know who wrote it.
you know it.
But one thing about that, what we just read, notice how they were praising the Most High, the Father. They were not praising Yeshua.
That's
And
good.
particularly, they were. I mean, yeah, Yeshua gets the credit, but the thing is that the Father is getting all the praise because the Father is the one that made it happen.
That's
And we
right.
understand, like it says in Hebrews, Yeshua or Christ, He is the express image. So the thing is that it's not saying that Christ is God. He's not the Father. But like Sis was breaking down a few days ago, you have your Father's name. That doesn't mean you're your Father. You're part of Him. So when you respect Christ, you're giving favor to the Most High.
Hallelujah.
So that's what the text is saying. Again, we're going with what the book says, and we believe the book to be accurate, to be the witness. We have to believe what's written. We can no longer go with conjecture. I just wanted to put that out.
So can you praise Yeshua?
You give him homage, yeah, for what he's done. Yes, you can.
So did the 12 tribes know Yeshua? I mean,
Yeah.
know Yeshua?
Yeah, these 12 tribes were because they died in, because when you read in other texts, it says they died in Christ. Or in other words, they died pleasing the Most High.
Because Christ is the Most High's messenger.
Exactly. And these individuals, these sealed individuals right here were people who lived set apart, like the Messiah. He was set apart. So, and then you can read, go to Matthew 17. I read this a little earlier, but I just want to make for an example. Matthew 17. I'm reading from an interlinear Greek version. This is my bread and butter. I'll try to read quickly. We want to go to chapter 17 and verse 1. 6 days later, Christ took with him Peter and James and his brother John and led them up a high mountain by themselves, and he was transfigured before them, and his face shone like the sun, and his clothes became dazzling white. Suddenly there appeared to them Moses and Elijah, talking with him. Then Peter said to Yeshua, or Christ, Lord, is it good for us to be here? If you wish, I will make thee dwellings. Here one for you, and one for Moses, and one for Elijah. While he was still speaking, suddenly a bright cloud overshadowed them, and from the cloud a voice said, this is my son, the beloved, with him I am well pleased. Listen to him, like it said in Deuteronomy. That prophet, hear him, do what he tells you. When the disciple heard this, they fell to the ground. The disciples, rather. When they heard this, they fell to the ground and were overcome by fear. But Yeshua came and touched them, saying, get up and be not afraid. Now the point is that right here, that's an example of, we see Moses, you see Elijah, and you see Christ. They're transfigured. Same thing as you see in Revelation. You see this transfigured group of people, but you see that the Most High is getting the glory for allowing it to happen. They were not praising Moses, they were not praising Elijah, and they were not praising Christ in a sense as if they were the ones. No, someone made it possible. And the voice said, this is my son, for him I am well pleased, hear him. And then if you understand why Moses and Elijah were there, because Moses represents the law, Elijah represents the prophets. Elijah did it so well, the Most High took him away. And Moses was the governor of Israel in the wilderness, and the Most High revealed himself to Israel, the only prophet that he spoke to in that day. So that's why those two individuals were there. And then, like, what? Moses was tribe of Levi, right? So we understand that Moses is going to be at this resurrection when it happens, we just read in Revelation 7. And I think, I'm not quite sure, don't quote me on it, I don't know if Elijah was a part of the tribe. I don't know if he was an Israelite. I'm not quite sure, but he was. Okay, then maybe it was Elisha and the other one. Yeah, I get them mixed up. But Elijah, he's also going to be in that remnant. You can also read in the book of Daniel, where Daniel was promised that he was going to be in the remnant as well, in that 12, in the 12 tribes resurrected. But these are individuals who stood out by their actions and how they conducted themselves for the rest of their days as they lived on this earth.
That's a good point.
So what does your verse 8 say in the Greek?
Verse 8?
Or chapter 17 of Matthew.
And when they looked up, they saw no one except Jesus himself alone. So that was a vision or some type of revealing of what's going to happen when the kingdom fills the earth. Because you can read in the King James when Peter and them was like, oh man, they thought that was the second coming. They thought, oh, we got to build tabernacles, we got to build temples. They thought it was happening.
So see that differently. I think that goes with verse 2 of what was taking place.
And he was transfigured before them, and his face shone like the sun, and his clothes became dazzling white.
So when they opened their eyes, he had transformed to them.
Yeah.
So that's all they saw was Yeshua.
Yeah.
So like I said, it was they actually saw the whole transformation process.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I agree. I agree, most definitely. So many ways you can get, so much you can get out of it. It's the word of God is endless. You know what I mean?
So what's the difference in praise and worship?
Praise and worship, well, how would I answer that? Praise and worship depends on the individual. It depends on us as people. You do that daily. That's how I would look at that.
Okay. I'll break it down like this.
Praise.
Praise is when you actually shout, use your voice, proclaim out loud, being thankful, being gracious. Worship is an active lifestyle. You actually worship every day. You worship by being obedient to what the Most High calls you to do and asks you to do on a day-to-day basis. That's pretty much worship. When you're subservient, subjective, and obedient, you're actually saying, this is my deity, this is my power, this is my Elohim, whom I'm submit to. So my actions are going to reflect that. That's worship. And in here, when BA was bringing out that we don't worship Yeshua, we don't worship Jesus, we actually are paying homage or worship to the energy or the force that's driving that flesh to be able to manifest the spirit. So we're giving homage and worship to the spirit. And so that worship is, it's pretty much with your face to the ground, falling forward. You're falling forward, because when you're actually thrown back, you're actually being possessed by a spirit, a demonic spirit of some sort. So when you prostrate, you're actually, you have that one-on-one relationship. So you're facing forward, you're bowing down to the ground, you're submitting yourself. So worship is like just an everyday lifestyle. When you wake up breathing, when your daily activities, your conduct, your behavior is going to reflect that you're obedient to this deity, this power. So that's how I break down worship. So worship is an everyday thing. Praise is something you do, proclaiming out loud with your voice.
Okay, so two people married, man and woman, right? One person has pain, the other person feels that pain. What do we call that?
The person that feels the pain, or the person that
feel the same pain.
It's empathize.
Huh?
Empathize, sympathize.
Okay, that's a good Webster.
Oh, okay.
All right.
That's
all right. Anybody else? Oneness. Okay.
Yeah, united.
Mm-hmm.
Akai. Exactly.
Okay.
I would say intimacy.
All right.
If you're not intimate, you wouldn't feel it.
No, that's. So before you go on, I just want to add too. Notice that the three individuals we just read in Matthew chapter 17, they all had a personal intimacy with the Most High.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then those in Revelation chapter 7, who's in the resurrection, these are also individuals who had some type of intimate relationship with the Most High, personal, and we have, and we know they did because that's the judgment seat. This 144,000, whether it be literal 144,000 or it could be symbolic, however you look at it, these individuals are going to judge the nations and everybody. They're going to be the door before you get into the kingdom. You got to go through that council of individuals. Mm-hmm. They're part of that remnant of Israel.
Okay.
Okay. What you getting at, Brother Al?
I'm getting at this. So if there's that level of intimacy you all were talking about, that oneness, that intimacy, is that worship?
Yes.
Oh,
is it?
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, most definitely. I would agree.
Okay. So are we intimate with Yeshua?
Are we intimate? Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
We got a little conflict, don't we?
Okay. So you're saying there's a conflict? You're saying there's a conflict in what we're saying? We're not worshiping Yeshua, we're worshiping the Most High?
Yeah.
Okay.
Explain.
She know it.
What's the conflict?
She
This
know.
is good. What's the
Aye, she felt it. Go ahead. Do it.
I'm not understanding what you're trying to get at. What you think that I know.
You love to play games. You know.
I'm not trying to play games. I personally feel that I have a relationship with Yeshua. I can't speak for anybody else, but because he is the Son of the Most High, he is the go-between. He is my source to the Father. There is some intimacy with him.
Okay.
But overall, my relationship and the intimacy is with the Father.
Okay.
So I give, for me it's, I worship the Father in everything I do, but I praise and give praise and glory and honor to both Yeshua and the Father, because he allowed his Son to be that go-between for us.
Okay.
So you're thankful for when Yeshua.
Okay, so you said worship is an everyday thing. Right?
Yeah.
Every day.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, in fact, with the Father, we can't relate in that regard because it's so much of it. So if I walk with him every day and I'm intimate with him every day, and if that's the definition of worship, then don't I worship him?
Don't you worship? You saying?
Yeshua, that's what he's saying in that sense.
Okay. So now we're talking two senses. You said
Okay,
that
let me.
sense, so now-
Well, in that sense in what you're saying,
Well,
I hear you
well,
now.
But still, worship is worship, right?
Okay, let's-
Okay,
let me-
so
let me-
I'm just saying because he said in that sense.
Let me try to clear it up for someone, and maybe it's because of what you were bringing out that we don't worship. What we're saying is we're not worshiping that flesh.
Pardon me?
We're not worshiping the flesh.
What do you mean
We're-
flesh?
The flesh. Okay, say for example, you said a husband and a wife, right? Husband and a wife.
Right.
They're two human beings. They're in their flesh, but within that flesh there is spirit. Whom gave that spirit is the Most High Elohim, right? So what we're saying is, when we worship the Father, we're not saying we more so worship the person or the individual or the flesh. We're actually ultimately knowing what animates that flesh or what allows that flesh to manifest what's driving it, which is that spirit.
Okay,
So we're
okay.
saying we worship the spirit.
Okay, so the picture of the tabernacle,
Mm-hmm.
right? We just break it down to the three compartments, right? Three compartments of the tabernacle. Right?
You
Right?
said 3 parts of the tabernacle.
Right.
Okay.
Most holy,
Right.
and yeah.
So, in order to get to the Holy of Holies, or the Most Holy, you had to go through the holy place.
Right.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So how can I get to the most holy place without going through the holy place?
Well, you have to do what the holy. You have to. Well, before you get to the holy place, you got to make sure that you're right.
Okay. So the person that represents the holy place, do not we call him Adonai? Do not we call him Lord?
Yeah,
not his
because-
Talmudim call him Lord?
Yeah, because most definitely you call him Lord. But
Was it Adon or was it Adonai? Was it Lord of the flesh or Lord of the spirit?
Well, the Messiah is, well, he is spiritual overall.
Okay.
Yeah, but see, but then I know what we're, no, see, because I think what we're, this is me to see if I can probably reach some clarity. When it comes to Christ, we recognize that he didn't do it all by himself.
We understand that. That's given.
Exactly. So we're not in no shape or form discrediting Christ. You know what I'm saying? What we're saying is that we understand the force that brought him forth. Because he also said, I do my Father's will. And he didn't do the miracles. The Father gave him the ability to.
Okay, but see,
Right.
in that sense, I
That's
know
what
you
we're
understand when I say, when you say Father, Son, we talk about in that sense of relationship, we talk obedience.
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay, so now that just represents, you know, I'm in his house and I'm obedient to him. I'm expressing 100%.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm saying is if you gotta get to one to get to the other,
Yeah.
how can I bring worship to the Father if I don't bring worship to the Son?
Well, you
We're
have
not talking about the flesh.
Yeah, you're talking about
Let's go ahead and
most
go
definitely.
right with the Spirit.
So, but the thing is that you got to remember. Now we deal with spiritual. It says that Christ is the express image. You know what I'm saying? So now all of a sudden, we have to understand Christ is the example.
Christ is what?
He's the example on how to be set apart. You know what I'm saying? Christ said, "You can't come to the Father but by me." The only way you get to the Father is through Christ. You know what I'm saying? So if you reject Christ, you reject the Father.
Okay.
So the thing is that you have to So you have to come to the image of the Most High, which is Christ. You have to come to that. There's no other way.
Okay.
Praise and worship are different, but they go together.
Yeah, the two. Well, maybe the mark
Just so we can go somewhere, does anybody have a definition? That way, because I mean,
She gave the definition.
I know, but that's our personal definitions.
Okay.
Oh, you're talking about somebody gonna actually look it up?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Kind of like what I forgot the other brother name.
I mean,
Yeah, he kind of like hey, let's pull up the concordances, let's pull up that, and then we can define it by that.
I mean, we can get
because even like in translations, I mean, I'm pretty sure she knows. I mean, studying the word worship in the Bible is definitely not the same word behind there in the Hebrew. It can be two different meanings.
Okay.
You're saying different Greek as well.
You know, so just so that we can get on the same page, let's just define the word.
We can put this on the shelf.
No, it's not, because in a way, I'm sitting here, I'm listening to you guys are both right.
I just went with it.
It's just saying, well, I mean it this way.
Yeah.
And she mean it that way. Well, your meaning, you may be correct. The way you interpret it, the way she interpreted it, she may be correct.
And there's really
but
no
until we
wrong
can
answer.
really come
Exactly.
down to a meaning and define it together, let's just look it up for what it is, for where that word came from, and then we can kind of.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
So were you offering that, or were you just
Throwing it out.
creating it?
Yeah, I know he's creating a discussion, but this will help in the discussion.
Well, it came up.
Yeah.
You know. So if you bring me apple pie, I'm gonna eat it. You know. Yeah.
Especially the apple pie.
But is it green apple or red apple?
Well, I'm not. That's the type of thing. I'm not getting.
And that's the topic we're having.
But I'm not getting to the red apple.
I was taught the differences in.
And I don't care if it's red apple or what.
I was taught the differences in what do we actually acknowledge. So when I'm praising, I'm acknowledging something specific. But when I'm worshiping, I'm acknowledging someone separate from anything else. So my worship with him has to do, like I said, an intimate relationship. Because I praise him for what he's done. I can praise you for you did something, you know, thank the Lord you did something for me. You know, but I'm worshiping him for who he is, regardless of what, outside of anything he's ever done. Just who he is. And so same thing Yeshua gave us what we call the Lord's Prayer. That's an outline.
Exactly, a blueprint.
He's telling us, to acknowledge him, our Father in heaven.
This is how you do it.
So, to do that first. Don't do that second, don't do that last.
Exactly.
So he gave us, so acknowledging him for who he is.
Yeah.
And so we go by the names of God, So he says, if he says El Shaddai, what am I acknowledging? Because I appear to you as El Shaddai, so I appear to you as your supplier. And then, he appears as a creator, he appears to us in different ways. So when you're worshiping him, what are you acknowledging?
Yeah.
That is so good.
It is just something that I do. Because I get up in the morning and pray before I go to work, But what are you?
What attribute?
So you say that based on
One of his
intimacy.
many attributes.
So you would say that's based on intimacy.
Yeah. So now,
Okay, so when I get to know you, it's through intimacy. So then when he raped Dina, he got to know her. It was intimate.
Yeah.
But it was the Father.
And I realized I
So did he worship her?
Yellow boy.
That's why rape is such a terrible thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right, I got you. Sorry.
Used there in a rape case.
Well,
Huh?
I don't know if the word intimate could be used in a rape case, though. I don't know if that was
intercourse defines the intimacy. Whether you were brought into it by lust or love, you were still now intimate.
When you're intimate with somebody, you get to know it. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay. That's why rape
It's such a
is such
violation.
it's deeper than we in the law of the land we use it for. Okay. That's why generally, if you want to get to the core of it, even intimacy without marriage is borderline rape. in the spirit realm. Now I know here in the law of the land says, well, consent, mutual consent. Okay, cool. But in the depth of it, it's borderline rape. They say it's fornication. It ain't even fornication. You know, it's much more deeper than that. You know, fornication is a surface sin. And so it's like, okay, so I'm just saying, based on that, if one leads to the other one, then you have to acknowledge it as such. You know, and that's how the Torah paints a picture of shed light, as we say, shed light on things. And you know, Shaul said the Torah was here to show us that we fall short. Just how far